Welcome guys, welcome. About this current new gem system, I made this video to share how I think and connect all the Western players together. Okay, before I start, let me kick off with possible tactic for same class players to keep up with the gem changes. So let me talk about this tactic. You do the raise on your ults first by not locking in so you don't get the attack power buff. After doing the raise, pass it to the main and then lock it to get that attack power. Then do the raid on the main, and then unlock it, which will take 7 days. Then next week, you pass it to the ults and do the raise without it again, and pass it to the main and lock it to get the +5, and so on and so forth. It's a repetition. So by doing this, you can technically make the gems partially roster-wide, but this follows up with huge restriction. Number 1, your ults have no gems for 7 days. So how are you gonna do the Guardian raid? You may have to get some flex sets of low-level tier 4 gems, unless you're trying to do the Skolakia with tier 3 event gems, which sounds awful. Number 2, you have to finish all the raids in 1 day pretty much to minimize the loss, because it gets delayed if you don't finish it in a day, right? Therefore, you can't do the raids in your preferred order and time. Now the interesting part is, above tactic can work on different class enjoyers as well. The process is same. The difference is you cannot share it more than 2 characters, so you need more sets of gems. You do the raise on one ult by not locking in, and then pass it to the main and lock it to get the attack power. And freely change the cooldown and DPS, like any skills that you need for that class. Then do the raid on that main, and then unlock it and wait for a week, and so on and so forth, repeat. In order for 6 different class roster to benefit from this completely, then you can tell that you kinda need 3 sets of gems. Now let's talk about the problem of this gem system. For same class players, anyone who has at least 1 character at high level gets directly affected. First of all, the gem base attack power grows when it's higher. Level 8 is 4.4, level 9 is 5.5, and level 10 is not shown, but we can assume it's 6.6, right? Because you don't want to give up the base attack power when you're doing end content on your main, then you have to do that this tactic, which will tie you up because of these restrictions. And the larger problem happens for people who have high level ults as well, since they can't get the base attack power buff even by doing the tactic in order to do the end contents. You have to buy set of gems. Now, I also have 2 same classes, brought to you by Opera GX. I have one ult Clavier at 1652, and that's it. My case is better case relatively, but these people who have a lot of high levels, they are genuinely effed. Now, I looked into the invent, and the biggest reason why these people are quitting, they say, my passion is getting ignored. High-level same class players made roster like that because they actually have passion and like their class. They're not, rice eaters. They give guild accessory, guild bracelet, etc. to their ult to play the end contents. These are kind of people who seek for power with a lot of investment. So they want the 5% plus base attack power. But in order to do that, the game says, then get all set of gems if you want that power all of a sudden. Now you might say, if you have that much passion, then go buy the gems. What's the problem, right? If you say that, then that's probably because you're not the same class player. Investing on what they want versus forced to invest because of sudden changes feels completely different. It feels like the game is mistreating you. If we go back to the live stream, the director, he will not negatively affect any of the groups, including the same class players. He felt pity that some people had to choose that path because Season 3 is so expensive. So he said he will make the gems roster-wide with some limitation. Now what happened instead is he ended up touching the same class players all of a sudden. And some of the different class players are actually happy of director hitting the same class players. Now the reaction to this situation is, huh? Like, how does that make different class players happy? Why are they fighting each other when the game is the culprit of not adding the system at start of season 3. If the director added this earlier before things got settled, then people would have less complained. This is like they let the ants to build Sandcastle for 9 months, and then all of a sudden they destroys it. Did the same class players abuse the game? No. Did they use a bug? No. Did they exploit? No. All they did is to find a path to survive in the harsh pay-to-win environment in Season 3. This is like watching Korea MapleStory deleting the reboot server. What happened is, the director messed up the main server by doing L-patch, which did not affect reboot server. Some of the main server players started to roast the reboot players instead of the director. The civil war happened in between those two groups of players. The director goes live and declares, "We will remove the reboot server 07. So what does this incident indicate? The game made a problem and makes players fight each other, and then achieves excuse to commit on next action, in this case, deleting the reboot server. Lastly, what I want to say is, we need to unite. We should not attack each other. We are all allies. We need to touch each other, bro. Players never made a problem. It is the game. Unite, we stand, bro. Divide, we 07. Do you guys want to be 07? No. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay giga shit. And spam. Noted.